and I believe we have a quorum. I'm going to make one amendment to our current agenda. That's to switch items 11 and 12, the WMATA discussion with the 4250 Connecticut redevelopment project update. We're just going to cover those in a reverse order. Are there any other changes to the agenda that people have?
Items 11 and 12?
Yes. Any other changes? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Siddick. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It is 5-0. Do we have anybody from MPD? All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is she still planning on coming? Is she still planning on coming? Okay. She's running late. That's fine. What we'll do is we'll move ahead, and when she gets here, just sit and let me know, and then we'll just put you in the agenda at that point. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we're going to come back to that. So we have a special announcement. Recently, we had a vacancy in ANC 3F04. At the time of that vacancy, it was too late in the election cycle to hold a special election. ANC commissioners in this ANC across the city will be picking up petition packets soon to get their names on the November ballot. Because of that, the Office of the ANC and the Board of Elections are not able to hold a special election to fill that seat. In the interest of the community, what the ANC has learned it has the powers to do is to appoint someone. This person would be a non-voting member of our commission. They would be able to interact with the public. They would be able to offer motions. They just wouldn't be able to vote on anything we have up there. They'd essentially be a shadow ANC commissioner. That's what we're planning to do, and we plan to make that appointment at our meeting in July. If you or you know someone who lives in ANC 3F04 and are interested in sort of taking care of this seat, please let us know. Just send us a quick note, a bit of a resume to info@anc3f.com with the subject line ANC 3F04 within it. We'll be discussing with potential applicants and anyone who's interested about ways to serve the community. And we'll also be making a formal announcement electronically, and we can send something for the press too that they can push out to as well. So with that, I'm going to go with our commissioner updates and announcements, and we'll start with you, Commissioner Siddick.
The only thing I have to say is one of the vacant restaurants in our area, the old Banana Leaf up in the 5000 block of Connecticut Avenue. There are two vacant restaurants there, the old Terrasol and Banana Leaf. The Banana Leaf there are some managers who are taking over the lease there, and all I can say about them is it's going to be a family-friendly Italian restaurant, and the family that's running it lives in our district and has children at Murch School. The expected opening date is September the 15th. No word yet on the Terrasol property. I've spoken to the owner of the building, and he said he had a few things in the works, but nothing has gelled yet. That's it.
Okay. I have two announcements. The first is this Saturday, Van Ness Main Street will be holding its annual fundraiser at 7 o'clock at the Park Van Ness. Van Ness Main Street has done an excellent job, and I'm sure Teresa will give us an update in a little bit, but just of sort of revitalizing our corridor. I think we've all seen over the years that it's been in existence, the increase in programming and businesses opening up, and they've gotten some great results, but those great results need our support. That's where we all come in. So please check that out. It's 7 o'clock. I believe it's on the website, and you can purchase tickets online. The other thing of note is that WMATA will be holding a town hall tomorrow, here at UDC to discuss the L1, L2 changes. Thank you. It's going to be held at the Law Library from 6 to 8 p.m. We hope someone will be here to talk a little bit about those changes. So we're expecting someone. But for an even greater in-depth discussion of those issues, will be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So don't miss that as well. the bus lines that go up and down Connecticut for the vast majority of their routes. So.
No announcements?
I don't have any announcements.
Okay, great. So moving on, I'm going to open this up to the community. I'm sorry, we're going to go to committee reports. Do we have anything for Parks and Trails?
No, we.
Okay. Bob?
Use that one.
Yeah.
So I'm the chair of the Streets and Sidewalks Committee. Don't have too much to report except that we're still having a little trouble with our 311 requests and getting DDOT to act on them. We do have about 275 requests pending, and about a quarter of them have been acted on. 1/4, that's not too bad. And if you notice, actually, quite a few sidewalks have been repaired lately. We're not really sure if it is a result of our requests or just because they were going to do it anyway. But we're continuing to try to get some DDOT input on this. If any of you from the commission have suggestions on that, let us know. And we'll be meeting again in July. Yes?
Yes, Van Ness Street residents are very concerned about the deterioration of the sidewalk along UDC.
Yes, I know.
We're asking for not just please just fill in some holes, that would be nice.
Yeah.
But just redo the whole thing with something that's durable and cheap to maintain. And I
Right.
assume that if Eaton is going in on the front field, that's the request.
Yes. I don't know much about that.
Have all those big trucks and trailers driving over and you.
What part of Van Ness?
What are we talking about?
We have right in front of.
Running through the building, basically from Connecticut
From Connecticut.
Connecticut
right.
to Reno.
to Reno. Okay.
And that's the major route
Right.
for
Mhm.
walking to the metro.
Okay.
And this has been repeated.
Is it one of those brick-
We thought you were aware of this because David Dickinson is there.
Yeah, he is certainly aware, and I think we do have. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've.
Is that a
tripped there.
brick sidewalk?
It's a brick sidewalk that has not been
No.
properly maintained.
Yeah.
And was never properly laid, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
So we would be happy to take that up at the next Community Campus Task Force meeting. I'm not sure exactly what the date is, but we have them quarterly, and this is a helpful issue to flag.
I don't think you're getting notices on them. I haven't gotten any notices. We're not getting, and those are required under the UBC order.
Well, I know they're published in a variety of listservs in the area, but I can look into it and make sure that we're.
They're actually required to be given notice every time they happen.
Yes.
And that's what says that they're not doing it.
So we'll get some additional information on what media they're using for that right now, but I think that would be a really good issue for us to discuss at our next meeting. I know it's come up before.
What extent do you have jurisdiction from JNC and how do those two overlap?
We work collaboratively on issues, but it's an opportunity for us to go in depth on UDC-specific issues, so I'd be happy to bring that up
We
to.
don't see that as a UDC issue, we really see it as a neighborhood issue because so many people from our neighborhood walk down that to get to Metro.
But we've also been told that it's the DDOT,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
problem, issue, authority, whatever. So all of these various intersecting interests do need to come together and focus and get something done, because this has now been going on for over a year.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll leverage every avenue we have to find a solution. Thank you for bringing it up.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I'm sorry, Bob. Bob, real quick before you stop. We're having a meeting in July.
Yes.
Do we have a
You
date?
said,
Second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday here at UDC. Okay. Thank you. Grants.
the one issue for the grant is the special project.
The mics aren't working or?
Yeah, so the microphones are not amplifying it in the room. The microphones are only amplifying it for the people on our last live stream, right?
We're not on live stream. It's for
We're
recording.
not on
I
live stream
believe.
anymore?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so it's for the recording, it's not for the room.
Speak up then, maybe.
So I'm sorry. Your announcement about the grants committee.
The only grants issue is the special project that we'll take up later in the agenda.
Okay.
Other than that, there's nothing else from grants.
Great. And that is item 13 on our agenda for tonight. So we're going to move on to the community open forum. Before we do so, I want to point out to everyone we have a rather lengthy agenda tonight. I'm going to keep to it as much as possible, and I would appreciate if everyone also could just keep their their questions as much as of a question as possible, and their comments as short as possible, and then we can all move forward. So, but with that, I'm going to just open it up for people to come down and make announcements. Remember, we do not have amplification devices, so please speak loudly so that the room can hear you. Okay? And we have 20 minutes for that. And community announcements. Juanita.
Juanita Gray, University of the District of Columbia. So to address the question about the Community Campus Task Force, we do actually have one scheduled for next Thursday, June 28th, from 6:30 or beginning at 6:30 p.m. here in 44 AO3. We do encourage the entire community to come out. Who we send
What
the
time? I'm sorry. I missed
6:30.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I'll email you.
And where is that?
Here in 44 AO3.
Thank you.
6:30 to 8?
6:30 until it's over. And what we do as a for the campus, we email out, and I'll be emailing out tomorrow. Thomas has been out. We email out to the community or members who are on the task force, and then they get the information out to the constituents, and then we also have it on the website.
My name is supposed to be on that list, and I've talked to Thomas Redmond about it repeatedly, and as far as I can tell, it's been ignored.
I'll get your email address tonight, and I'll make sure I send it to you directly. In addition to merch, they have been moving out. They started last week. They'll continue for the next couple of weeks. We don't have any clear decisions on whether or not Eaton is going into that space, so once the university gets information, we will make sure that the commission knows.
Do you have a timeline on when they might let you know? Okay,
No,
fair enough.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're gonna, if they come, it'll be before the school year, so it'll be a very quick turnaround.
Okay.
We are asking, and Troy, our Chief Operating Officer, has spoken to Commissioner Dickinson about this. A lot of neighborhood residents are parking, well, a lot of people in general are parking on the entrance to the main campus on VZ. That area is not a parking area. It's also not a drop-off area for the Metro. The Metro has a kiss and ride area that's right in back of 4250. So we're asking the commission.
They don't actually have that.
Is it gone or it's gone?
Well, we're going to talk about that in a little more detail and,
Okay.
and figure out how we can make the most of that space.
Well, for the safety of our students and for the people walking on VZ and for congestion purposes, we're asking the commission to reach out to constituents about not parking and or going in that area unless they're dropping off and then turning. We might have to figure out something if,
Yeah,
if
that might be something we discuss with the MPD when they arrive. We can
Okay.
talk about that.
that's all I have.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. It's Teresa with Van Ness Main Street. And a few updates. We have a pop-up in our building, which is at 4340 Connecticut Avenue. We work with the University of the District of Columbia as a partner in a pop-up. And our pop-up is Abana Clothing Boutique. And she's been in the neighborhood in the area of Upper Northwest for a while. And so she is in our space operating a pop-up. She's there Fridays and Saturdays. I have 10% off coupons for you. She's a great local business, woman-owned, and we're really excited to have her there. And we want to thank the University of the District of Columbia for allowing us to do the pop-up. And this is part of our ongoing efforts to increase retail in Van Ness. And with that, we're working with Roadside Development, who has a space next to the Gold's Gym that is vacant at the moment, and they're working on leasing it. But they have offered to allow us to hopefully develop a pop-up there, so more information at the next meeting on that. Gold's Gym is up for sale, and they, I don't know any more about what they're looking for, but it's exciting that we know that that space is up for sale. We continue to work on our fundraiser, and I have cards for you. Every dollar raised goes to Van Ness Main Street. Calvert Woodley is our partner on this, and they're donating all the wine, all the cheese. Bread First is doing bread for us, and several of our local businesses are donating items for our auction basket. And Abana Clothing is giving us a dress to auction off. So I hope you come. We have great music provided by musicians from the University of the District of Columbia. It's Saturday at the Park Van Ness from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And like I said, it's a total fundraiser for us. My board chair, Marlene Berlin, is here, and we're just really excited about it, and I think it's going to be a really fun event, so I hope you can come. We're working on a public space permit, temporary, for the plaza at 4250 Connecticut Avenue. As you know, last year we did an event around Van Ness Social Club, and we're going to continue that. We want to have outdoor seating there so people can sit, get their food from the food truck, and activate that plaza. So hopefully we'll get that approved soon. We're working on some of the issues around the sidewalks, and we've decided that we're actually highlighting them with washable chalk paint. We have a lot of issues in front of Building 52, which is where the law school is, but I recommend that where you all are on Van Ness and you're talking, I can get you the can of paint and I can help you highlight that.
Happy to.
Because it's really important, and we're really trying to highlight that. We've been working with the Ian, who's with the Mooker's office at the mayor, and he's helping us out with that. Again, our farmers market continues throughout the entire summer. I hope all of you come to the farmers market. It's been just a fantastic, fun summer. And at the end of the month, we'll be having a pet adoption. So it's the first time we've done this in Van Ness, and we're really excited about it. So I hope if you're looking for a pet, come on down. We also have Jazz at VN, which is our normal monthly jazz series, which will be at Soapstone Market next Thursday. So those are kind of some of the items that we're having in Van Ness at the moment. But there's always new opportunities for new things. So if you're interested in doing something different in Van Ness, just contact me. It's T. Cameron, C-A-M-E-R-O-N, at vannessmainstreet.org. So thanks. I'm going to pass these around too.
Thanks, Teresa. Any other community announcements? Okay, great. At this time, I'm going to move on to the seventh item on our list. I'd like to welcome down the Assistant Superintendent of Early Learning, Elizabeth Gruginski, and her colleague, Eva Laguerre. They're going to talk to us a little bit about the Mayor's Child Care Initiative and the new center that will be going into UDC.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Elizabeth Gruginski, Assistant Superintendent for Early Learning.
And I'm Eva Laguerre, Director for Licensing and Compliance for Austin.
And we are excited to be here tonight to share. We had a request to come and talk a little bit about the new site, the new childcare site that's going to be, I think, in this building or on the UDC campus. So the mayor, as you know, has been very supportive of early childhood over the last 2 to 3 years. I've been at OSSI since 2014. Eva's been there
Since 2012.
2012. And I think the initiative that she started with us was this year in FY18, we have the Access to Quality Childcare Expansion Funds. She gave us $11 million in this year's budget. $9 million of it is literally to build new facilities for infants and toddlers, for slots, not brand new facilities, but to help our child development operators across the city expand or renovate their space, so that we can create 1,000 new infant and toddler slots across the District of Columbia by the year 2020. So that was $9 million. She also invested another $2.5 million in actual scholarships and funding because we need to improve our workforce. We have set a new requirement for by 2023, all lead teachers in our child development facilities will need to have an associate's degree in early childhood, or at least an associate's degree with 24 credit hours in early childhood. A really critical piece of expanding childcare is that it be of high quality. I think the other area, and then the other piece that she funded within that Access to Quality Childcare Fund were 2 contractors who would work at DCRA and work with OSSI, because we know that to operate any business in the District of Columbia, you have to interface with DCRA. And for our childcare operators who operate at very slim margins, any types of delays they experience in permitting, in getting their certificates of occupancy, can really impact their bottom line. So these contractors will be housed at DCRA, but Eva, over the last 3 years, has developed really strong working relationships, not only with DCRA, but DOEE, Department of Health, FEMS. We actually have an MOU with Fire Emergency Management. We pay for the fire inspections annually for our licensed child development facilities, so that, because there was a lot of delays. Again, a child development operator would call FEMS to get an inspection. We would go out to license, they wouldn't have that inspection. So a lot of this effort has been the mayor's focus on better coordination across district agencies and better support for our small businesses, mostly all our small businesses, child development centers. So the other thing she did is she said, we want to make district government buildings available to child development operators so that they can, again, not have to pay some of the extreme rents and mortgages that they have on their facilities. So she located both UDC and the Deanwood Rec Center, working with DGS. This effort is actually being led through the Deputy Mayor of Education's office, and it was last month, I think, they awarded the 2 centers. So CommuniKids, how many of you are familiar with CommuniKids up on Wisconsin? Yes. They won the RFP for the UDC Center, and an organization called Kitty University, who has 2 child development centers in the city right now, won the Deanwood Recreation Center, which when Deanwood was built, it's in Ward 7, it was actually built with 4 child care classrooms in it. So this is exciting because we're able to expand now an additional, I think it's over 50 or 60 additional slots. The site here at UDC for CommuniKids will be for pre-K children. I think 2 pre-K 4 and a pre-K 3 classroom. But I think they're coming tonight. I think Raul had said, the person who is the owner of CommuniKids, and he can answer some of your more technical questions, because once the site gets licensed by us, it's really it's a private business. So all of our child development facilities are private businesses. They decide their operating hours, they decide their policies. They have certain regulations they have to follow through OSSI, but they get to a lot of those decisions. So I think overall, the other thing that the mayor is very interested in is that we all know that childcare is not affordable for most families, regardless of income in the district, and so really thinking about ways that we can create more economies of scale and more efficiencies across the city. We've been investing in some shared services models so that more back office support can help relieve some of the pressure of these, small, mostly female-owned businesses across the city. And then also expanding our child care subsidy program so that we can, for low-income families, up to 250% of poverty are eligible to have their child care paid for by the District of Columbia if they enroll their child in a facility that accepts the child care subsidy. I think you had some other questions. Did you want to open it up for questions? Or?
Sure, we'll do it for questions up here. I'm going to defer to Commissioner Adelstein, and we can go from there. I know you sent along some.
There were just a couple of other questions that had come in from the commission beforehand, so just to remind us of those. One was whether the mayor sees this as a longer-term strategy with the goal of opening additional centers in city-operated buildings. And another was if you could speak to the potential impact on the challenges some Ward 3 families have had getting their children placed in pre-K programs near their homes.
Especially in the context of the mayor's commitment to the sort of universal pre-K.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that question. So, for most of you, you know that we do have universal preschool at the District of Columbia. That means that any family with a 3 or a 4-year-old has access to a slot, whether that's the slot that is near their home or near where they work. That is, still something I think that we continue to look at. In Ward 3, you're mostly going to DCPS elementary schools, I think. Is that correct? There's not a lot of other public charter schools up in this area too?
No, that's right.
Right. Yeah. They're mostly DCPS. And I know that DCPS prioritizes pre-K 4 in this part of the city. But CommuniKids did come in as one of our community-based organizations last year. So OSSI, through our division, we actually designate every year centers that meet the high-quality designation. So CommuniKids came in, they had quite a big wait list. This year they came back and said, we want to double. And we said, great, that's good. So they're going to be, I think, doubling for the 18-19 school year. So every year we open that up to community-based organizations across the city who do accept public funding to become part of the universal pre-K program in the District of Columbia. So that is something that if people are interested, we always send it out every year to every facility that meets the minimum qualification, which is that they have to be accredited and that they do have to accept public funding. So they might serve 20%, 10% of children who receive public subsidy, and then they can become part of the pre-K enhancement program, which is a really nice way to, I think, support both just the childcare growth in the city. And the mayor definitely, I know, is looking at where are other district-owned buildings that they can expand pre-K, but I did ask the deputy mayor, the interim deputy mayor of education, but I did not hear back. I know that's part of the effort they're doing with DGS, and we can definitely follow up and get back to you in terms of what the timeline is for that. But overall, her vision is to make sure that all of our district families with young children have access to both quality and affordable childcare. I would say there's a study that's going to come out next month that you all will be probably very interested in. The Bainham Family Foundation has funded a childcare supply and demand study. With that study release, it'll be an electronic format release. There will also be a map, and an interactive map where you can look at any part of the city. You can see what childcare centers are there, what child development facilities, which schools are there, and you can overlay different. Ask yourself, have different questions where you can see where there are areas that we call childcare deserts, places where young families don't have access necessarily to care near where they live. And it took into account the commuter. We have 450,000 people who commute to the city every day to work. That was an interesting fact that came out of the supply and demand. And about 10,000 children come here and put a demand on our child care facilities every day for those families who commute into the city and use our supply of child care, which makes sense. Some of our families commute out, but not nearly as many as commute in. And then it also looked at how families commute around the city and use care in different places. So it's very good. It's going to come out in probably around mid-July. We'll definitely make sure you all know it, and you guys have. You can just. I think it'll be really helpful to ANC members and other community leaders to really look at their particular neighborhood and see where the supply gaps are and where there might be a need. And then we'll be using that data, and we already are using it with the Access to Quality Child Care Fund to decide where we should prioritize applications. We received 22 applications. We competed the funds to a group called the Low Income Investment Fund, the Community Development Financial Institution. They are taking applications from facilities all over the city, and Eva can talk a little bit about the work she's doing with DCRA and LIF, going out and checking out these new facilities. 3 of them are in Ward 3. One, St. Albans, has just been awarded, so they'll expand by another 34 infant and toddler slots just by getting the funding from this quality fund for renovation and repair. We have 2 more in Ward 3 that are in the pipeline to be approved, and we have facilities all over the city that are, some are new builds and some are just needing renovation, repair, materials to open up a classroom that they didn't have funding to support. Do you want to add anything?
He was going to talk about the
So, just for the expansion grant, we have, like you said, we have quite a few in the pipeline, and so we've been working with DCRA to kind of preemptively figure out if some of these facilities will run into issues down the line and help them resolve those issues ahead of time so that when they get past the construction phase or the renovation phase, that they can move into the license phase pretty quickly and get their facility licensed in a reasonable amount of time. One of the biggest issues that we find in the city to providers, besides the supply and demand, is the amount that it costs to rent property or buy property in the district. We're looking at, I think last year, the last year, $65 a square foot was the average, and it's quite a bit. So the amount of time that between the time that a facility gets a lease and the time that they get licensed, is all that money they have to have up front before they start making money, before they can even open. So we have seen facilities have a lease for up to a year, spend $75,000 in rent prior to just being able to open and make money. And we know that most facilities, especially if there's that subsidy, won't make that $75,000 back very quickly. So our goal has been to go out to facilities as soon as landlords will let us in the building to find issues and to help them pinpoint what needs to be fixed ahead of time so they can move quickly through their projects and open up quickly.
much for this, and I don't know if this question for you or actually if it's for Ms. Gray, but we've been working with the university on your space needs and helping, supporting your request for more funding to do rehabilitation, renovation here at UDC, as well as discussing UDC's space needs nearby. So I'm just sort of, how does this using the underutilized space here for, there's designated as underutilized, so the child care center came in fit in with UDC's needs for space, which we know are also, they're great demand.
The space that they're utilizing for the Owensboro Child Development Center, it's just been empty for the past, let's say, year and a half. So as we're a district university, and that space is designated for that, I believe the intention originally was for the university to continue the program again. Then this opportunity came up with the district, so.
And so it's going to stay designated child care center as you go through your renovations that are now you have some of the capital funds for it and things. Okay, great to know. Thank you.
So I think we're just joined by the
business owner.
business owner.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, look, I'm going to come back to you in just a second.
Okay.
Before I do, are we going to have any questions from the audience right now? 1, 2. Okay. I'm going to make a motion to extend debate on this by another 10 minutes. And so we can do that. We do have some specific questions. I think that Commissioner
About the
Albertino
site,
knows, but do I have a second on that motion?
Second?
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, we're going to extend it to 8:15. So just introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Raul Echevarria. I am the co-founder and president of Community Kids Preschool, which has been awarded the UDC site, and we're very happy to become part of the community. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have about this program, which is in its very early stages of getting all sorted out, but as much information as we can provide, I'll be glad.
Okay, I think Commissioner Alderson has one specific to that. I don't know how many details are worked out, but
Yeah,
I'll let her
so
answer.
we did get a question from the commissioner who, this is his SMD, he can't be here tonight. It asked for a lot of details, so I may just follow up by email, but I'll highlight a couple that I know tend to be themes that come up a lot. Could you talk a little bit about what the parking and drop-off arrangements will be for the center, where the playground will be, and what the hours of operation will be?
Okay. In terms of the actual drop-off area and pickup area, that's still being dealt with. We're talking with the university to make sure that it makes sense with their plans. I understand that previously